Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to the Energized Empowered Professional Women Summit. This is our first day. I'm so excited to see all of you here, and I'm so excited to have our first guest today, which is Devon. And before we start, on this beautiful day, I'm here in Australia, and the sun is shining, and so you'll see all the different reflections coming up behind me as we have the sun rising behind us. But first of all, I'm so grateful for all of you here. I'm breathing into each and every one of you that's listening now on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. It's so amazing that we are able to stream across all platforms at the same time. And what this means for all of us is that we can reach as many people as we can in this summit, where our hearts are to help you thrive from burnout. So before we start, and when everyone's logging in right now, I'll just go through some of our little housekeeping, which is not much, but to say that, chuck your comments in. I have my assistant Gia, and she will be helping me with the comments. I just so grateful for her here. So if anything, just let her know what's happening in the comments. Now, if you're on Facebook and we want to see you and you would like to comment, please allow StreamYard to access your Facebook name. And Jay has put in the comments on how to do that. Really excited to hear your comments. We have a Q&A session at the end of this, and that will be where we'll look at at your comments and your questions, and we'll try and answer that in 5 minutes. But wherever you are in the world, I really welcome you. Thank you for coming for this amazing summit. And we will kick off right now at 1 minute past. And I would love to introduce to you Devon, and we will put her at the stream. Hi, Devon.
Hi.
So before we start, and here we are, I would love to warmly welcome all of you, absolutely all of you, to the Energized Empowered Professional Women Summit. And over the next 5 days, we have a dedicated group of women from all over the world, and we're here to help you leave behind exhaustion, frustration, and burnout, to confidently take back your life with renewed energy and vitality. And we're going to do this by having real and raw conversations like we are right now with Devon on how to identify what is burnout, communicate, heal, prevent. And we have all the amazing bonuses from these amazing experts as well. So now let's start the summit. And I want to warmly welcome Devon. I'm so excited about this interview. I think it's incredible that we start this summit for the empowered professional woman by broaching this subject of shame. I came across Devon's work as my clients often talked about shame being, that often in the room in their lives. It's pervasive. And when they burn out, it got even worse. So I did my research, and I reached out to Devon and said, yes, please, could I talk to you about this? Is so perfect. And we connected instantly. So I'll introduce Devon as quickly. And she's an integrative health educator, a holistic coach, shame eradicator, and founder of the Inner Spark method, which I'm really curious about. That'd be awesome. It is pioneering, innovative, whole person, trauma-informed approaches to identifying, uprooting, and transforming shame into a positive influence. Wow. That guides us towards wholeness, both individually and collectively. And that's so important. And so I would love to, say hi to Devon. Hi, how are you going? Before we start, I would love to know, love to hear your story and how you got here, and what has this been in your life. Devon.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm just so excited to be here, be part of this. and grateful that it's now a part of my life story. So thank you, all of you. All right, so where to begin? I'll give the abridged version because it's certainly quite a long journey. Like many of the presenters here and like yourself, I had my own firsthand experiences with burnout and the very challenging state that is to live in. I would
Mm.
honestly go so far as to say though that probably my entire life up to that point, I was in some state of some degree of burnout. I had a very dysfunctional and traumatic childhood. I was a very high functioning alcoholic,
Mm.
and was just kind of getting by in life, just kind of getting through it. I'm a highly sensitive person, so that just kind of added even more challenges into the mix. I didn't know that about myself at the time. So I'm just kind of trying to get through life and very, very depleted reserves and poor health and all these things that I just was normalizing. And then early 2012, life handed me a very swift kick in the rear. And it was one of those situations where I knew that the coping mechanisms that I had up to that point, namely alcohol and food, weren't going to get me through this. They weren't going to be enough. It was like, this is either going to kill me if I keep trying to do these things, or I need to do something differently. So
Yep.
that was my rock bottom wake up call, was like being presented with this event and knowing that it was literally I need to choose life or not.
Yep.
And so that began 11 years ago, this beautiful, radical, life-changing journey. I I cleaned up my life slowly but surely. Addressing the various traumas and things and needs. And so I'm going through this beautiful process. I like I said, changed the path and the course and the career that I was on. um, Received a master's in integrative health and
Wow.
studied holistic nutrition and Ayurveda and breath work and flower essence therapy and energy healing and all these really wonderful modalities that I use and weave into my work now. Um, and yeah, I guess in a nutshell, that's where I have been and where I am now. And so today, my life's purpose is to really support people in identifying the true root cause of burnout
Right.
and
Mm.
transforming it.
So, you went through this whole process, and this is the same with me. Like I was a high functioning. I relied on alcohol as well and food. Also, relied on other things. Like I had to travel lots, and and do lots of surfing and just getting out there. It all became self addiction and didn't really contribute to helping me at all. It's just self soothing, really. And so, how did now you're working with shame with women, how does shame contribute to burnout? How does that sort of pervade into our lives?
Right. So along the way, because I was doing and trying all the things at first, which is why I ended up with such a robust toolkit and so many various certifications, is I was just always, looking for what is this thing that's really going to help me. It's like I'd try something and it would work and I would feel better, but it was like there was still this missing piece. And so
Mm.
I knew that there was something more. And eventually I really realized and discovered that like it's no one tool, it's no one approach. It needs to be very holistic and very, very integrated. And I realized like these old patterns were still popping up. I love what you just said. These ways of keeping busy, right? That were like just different addictions. So it's like I quit drinking, but then it just became, I would throw myself into exercise or I would throw myself into this. And so it's like, okay, something's still not quite right here if
Mm.
I'm just kind of playing whack-a-mole with this energy that I can't quite figure out and understand. And so all this, work and years and experience and working with people, I eventually really discovered that the true root cause that's driving all of these cycles is shame. And so
Oh.
until that's actually addressed,
Mm.
these cycles of burnout and frustration and anxiety are just going to keep popping up in different places, or just again at a different time down the road. And so what I've discovered and what I teach in my work and what I've discovered through my own process and working with so many clients, and I'm like waiting for someone to prove me wrong. I'm like, please, is that the root cause of burnout in most all situations is twofold. It's shame and a weak foundation of true holistic resilience building self-care. And so that ends up creating this cycle. It feeds into each other. We're living in this state of shame. There's this mountain of unprocessed, unacknowledged, most of the time, shame that is feeding these behaviors that drive us to burnout. And because of that, there is this real resistance towards building this true holistic foundation of resilience building self-care, because we're resisting ourselves on some level. We're overriding ourselves. We might not even really like ourselves that much. There might be some self-resentment that's coming up as a result of this shame that we're living under. And so when that's in place, we're not creating this holistic resilience building lifestyle, which leads to more anxiety and frustration and burnout, which leads to more shame because there's this sense of I'm not doing enough, or I can't meet life's demands. And so it just kind of keeps going and going and going. So those things need to be addressed kind of together holistically, and magic really can happen.
And so I mean, you talk about shame and trauma in this sense, like you know, how is that brought up in our lives?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry,
so the way that I define shame in my work is it arises. Well, first of all, let's just like, shame is a good thing. We want shame. It is a positive part of the human personality and the human experience that at its just kind of surface level motivates us to make some type of change, right? It's like if I smell bad because I've just exercised, right? And I haven't showered, I kind of smell. And I go up to my partner and he's kind of like, oh, I'm going to have that sense of like, okay, I need to go make a change. Shame arises when our sense of safety, belonging, contentment, and or joy are in jeopardy. And so I'm not feeling this sense of joy and contentment because my partner might be a little like, oh, I love you and you smell a little right now. I'm going to take a shower. It's going to be all good, right? Yep. But we're very complex creatures. So we like to make meaning out of things. We like to really dig deeper and sometimes don't let things be that way, especially when we have a history of trauma, especially if we are on the more highly sensitive side of the spectrum. And so what ends up happening is we internalize that. We internalize it, this loss, this perceived loss of safety, belonging, contentment, or joy to mean something about us inherently, about who we naturally are at the core. And so that's where this notion that I've coined, this phenomenon of feminine shame comes into play. And this really has nothing to do with gender. As I was coming up with this, you know, trying to really use language that we all would resonate with, right, years ago. And so feminine shame arises when we internalize that disconnection, that loss of safety, belonging, contentment, or joy to be about us, who we naturally are as humans, right? Like really just making it about ourselves, which just breeds more of it.
And yeah, I can really relate to that, and I can see how that shame would also be really crucial when we know we're exhausted, but we keep going, as you said, into these cycles of putting more and more of ourselves into what we do or into someone, or because it kind of helps soothe our shame. And when you realize that you are in some form of burnout, or you're just exhausted and you want to say no, and you have to keep your boundaries, you don't want to do that because your shame comes up and goes, I should be able to do that because I was told as a child I should be able to do everything at once, and I have to strive harder to be the best person in the world, and if I don't strive, I'm shamed because I didn't get my high marks in my exams, or I didn't get that position in a job that I wanted to. So yeah, I can really recognize that. And one of the big things I find with shame is a friend of mine has said to me that she is really, she feels shameful to have burnout in her life, and she's also so ashamed that the employers might not employ her anymore if they knew she had burnout. So there's so much stuff happening there for us as people. So yeah, in how do we look at the real roots of things, like burnout? How do we dive deeper? How do we build resilience and thrive for the long haul?
Yeah, I would love to answer that. And I want to just touch on another thing that came up for me as I was listening to your reflection, is that, this isn't our fault. This is so deep, so multi-generational now, as things have just continued to get faster, and as we've advanced, and these narratives that we have told ourselves now for so many generations that we've just passed down the line, right? There's a huge like ancestral piece to this. There's this constant striving for more, and for this really weird definition that we all now have of normal, right? Like what it means to be normal. Normal people can like work 80 hours a week and be okay, right? Normal people can do it all, can do all the things and not crumble under life's pressures. And normal people don't have emotions. And so, right, it's weird to cry. It's weird to express and to like live these let these things out. It's not normal to like take good care of yourself. So we have this really warped sense of what's normal. And so again, if we look back at my definition of shame, this sense of belonging, I need to be normal, right? I need to like assimilate with what everyone else is doing in order to keep this perceived sense of safety and belonging. And when I'm not measuring up to that, there's something wrong with me. Right? That's the story. There's something wrong with me. I can't keep up. I can't do the things. And so then I'm on this constant quest to fix myself and heal myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're not the problem. There's nothing wrong with you. We're in this inner conflict between what's normal and what's actually natural, what's actually wholesome and supportive for our health and well-being, which is so not many of these mainstream ways of living and going about life. It's the most resilience zapping lifestyle. And I'm all about teaching us to really create these resilience building lifestyles so that we can begin to be more burnout proof and practice greater self-acceptance and compassion and letting go of these things that we've been taught that aren't working. They're not working. They're not working. Like, look at the health of the planet, the health of the people. Like, it's all just continually going downhill. Something's not working, and it's not your fault. It's not you.
Yeah. And it has the same thing at the back of it, which is blame. I find that when I'm in shame, the first thing I do, and my whole nervous system goes in protect yourself, boundary yourself, is start blaming someone else. It's easier because then they can be out of the pack and I'm part of the pack. It's their fault. So that's kind of like, and always to be living in that constant, as you said, state of it's state of fear, state that I'm not good enough, that I'm not normal, I'm constantly doing this, that as you said, that's exhausting. Oh, no wonder we're so tired. And when we're tired, we're not resilient. I mean, there's times where if you've been working so hard, you come home and then a perfectly simple thing happens that is not, mistakes just happen and you just go, wah!
Right.
Explosion. Why? Because you're so exhausted, you can't cope. You're not resilient anymore. You're not looking at things in in that perspective of, oh yeah, that's okay, that's just a small thing, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So I really feel that. That's why I was just like, oh, this is something we need to chat about.
And we're also more easily, preyed upon. So there's this
Yes.
like mainstream what's normal that we're all trying to, well, not all of us, most of us are trying to strive to meet. It's a very, I always say, the culture of sameness, same, to be the sameness.
Oh,
We're all
okay.
just like, we need to be this peak production and just stay there all the time. Be the same always. Don't have emotions. Don't allow for these natural fluctuations of life and our emotional body and our physical body. And so then we just end up repeatedly overriding ourselves, overriding our innate wisdom, our body's intelligence, the natural rhythms of nature, and again, yielding resilience zapping and yielding more burnout.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. And I would love to, I mean, I'm still really, really fascinated on your inner spark method. And you talk about the 5 elements framework in some of your work. I would really love for you to share that, because that completely fascinates me, and it's something that I think everyone would be excited about.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So as I shared, my kind of life's discovery and now passion is this kind of twofold root of burnout, shame, and this weak foundation of sustainable resilience building self-care. And so it needs to be aligned with nature's rhythms and the 5 elements of your being. And so when we bring all that together, we really get to heal burnout and make ourselves super burnout proof. And so I'll start. Where do I want to start?
Ooh, there's so many things to start with.
So I know there's just I love this so much, and then it's like my brain works faster than my mouth. So nature's rhythms. That is probably my most favorite part of this system that I've developed. So nature, right? The most powerful, beautiful, just incredible force that we know doesn't exist in that place of sameness I was talking about, right? She spirals. She's like has periods of rest and rejuvenation, periods of expansion and production, and everything else in between. And so it gets to be kind of this like main glue that holds it all together, that gets to simultaneously address the shame aspect and this resilience building lifestyle that we're creating. Because I get to see myself and use her rhythms as mine, right? I get to see myself and be like, actually, if nature's allowed to have these different ebbs and flows, then why aren't I? This is the most powerful force that we know of. So why wouldn't I also need to mirror that as an earthling, And also, why wouldn't I also be allowed to if nature does?
Yep.
So there gets to be that piece. And then there also gets to be, when I model my rhythms, my own daily, seasonal, both internal and external seasons, when I model that after these rhythms, resilience is just like abound, right? I get to refill this well, because just little things that we do as a society that are normalized are so zapping, like this constant artificial lighting, and just like ignoring the fact that the sun is down, just artificially lit all the time. Having kind of the same type of lifestyle regardless of the season. So doing these really outwardly expressed things in the dead of winter, it's like that's kind of against what's happening here. And I also speak to the seasons a lot, not just in a literal, tangible way, but also in this kind of deeper, energetic, metaphorical way. So we will cycle through them in a given day, and it's really just about knowing yourself. And then that's where the 5 elements framework gets to come into play also.
Okay. And so we talk about our, getting in touch with our cycles. And is there, how we've sort of dissociated from it, we can't, and is there sort of a way that you help people then to, what's your suggestion or tools in order to just come back to really coming back to ourselves, really connecting back to who we are and what our body's telling us? How do you teach that in your on how, what tools have you found that have been absolutely amazing for you in this arena?
Yeah, so I love that question. I love seasonal living, and I feel like there are so many different ways to go about it, so many different ways that I teach, and I have loads of free resources on my podcast and on my blog, if I can plug that. I think truly starting with just the day, the rhythms, the seasons of the day, and begin to just get back in touch with that. And so this looks like those simple things that are so powerful that we hear about all the time, that I wonder if we stop listening, right? Like going to bed and rising at the same time, striving to have our meals at the same times, and having it be less, we're so focused on like what we eat, but really focusing on like how and when, right? Like, when is the sun the most abundant? Digestion is a fiery process. And if I'm going to really assimilate that food and feed my being these really nourishing ingredients, I want to make sure I digest them. And so this fiery process, when is the fire the most? About midday. So I'm going to ensure that I'm feeding myself my main meal at midday. And just beginning to notice, like, what feels good to you and when. Do you enjoy actually working on tasks that require a lot of mental focus, a lot of that kind of like just laser focused in the afternoon? Odds are maybe you don't. That's kind of more of the autumnal season energetically of the day. And so that's maybe more of a creative time, a brainstorm time, an organization time, versus the earlier part of the day is more of that spring, that heavy focused, maybe that's the time. So really getting to know yourselves. And I would definitely recommend beginning with the day and just observing. So rather than making it this kind of mental thing of like, oh, the lady on the interview said this, it's like, no, I really invite you, don't forget what I said. Just really start to observe yourself and observe nature. Just watch and feel your own being as you observe, and really plug in and just kind of ask yourself, if I were to mirror these things, how would that look in my life and in my body?
Right. Wow, that's incredible. And and this is something that I personally don't do. I just just run off through the day, and is that, so just coming back to that, then that how that really helps with sort of helps with like shame, and how we is that because we are taking more notice of our bodies, we're taking more self-care in our bodies, we're connecting to what truly is part of ourselves and not denying it? Is that how it helps?
That's, yeah, absolutely. All of that and more. It's hard to explain. It just does. So like I was saying, when I'm living in this state of shame, and when burnout is a part of my life, and for many of us, it's not just like one time, right? We probably have that last time when that was like the worst time, but many of us who have that in our history, it's shown up many times throughout our lives, because it probably wasn't new. We were probably living in that state, this long-term chronic shame state for a very long time. And so when I'm there, I'm really not paying attention to anything. I'm not really paying attention to my body, to the world around me, to nature or the flow or anything like that. To me is like, I don't have time for that. That sounds like some hippie BS. I need to insert the blank, whatever it is, work harder, be better, do this, do that, achieve, accomplish. Especially for, I know we're really talking about professional women here. There's this drive. And so when we can just start small and start slow, it starts to compound. It really does. And it's hard to explain how it works. It's just one of those things. It's like, I can't tell you why the sun rises and sets every day. I can't tell you why your heart is beating so beautifully and strongly right now and keeping you alive. It's like these things, it just flows. And so it's us slowly just plugging back into what has always been there right beneath the surface of all of this stuff that has been running the show for way too long.
Okay.
And
wow.
The 5 elements framework, I realized I haven't even like mentioned what the 5 elements are. When we can bring together body, emotions and energy, mind, our connection with spirit and nature, and then our relationship and social roles, and really bring about this like whole beautiful like mix. I'm having an image. I get a lot of images. Speaks to me in pictures. I wish I could just show sometimes.
So like, synergy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I know.
It's like pancake mix or something. I'm just like, I see a bowl of mix. We're mixing it together.
Bowl of mix. Yeah, lovely. Fantastic. Yeah.
And it just makes the most resilience building pancake. Beautiful pancake.
Oh, pancake. Or I just thought I love analogies. Sorry, I had to come like making cookie dough.
Yes.
Where you put all the different elements in it, and then you mix it up, and it gets all sticky together. You put in the oven, and it is all cohesive into one cookie. But sometimes you will see the individual choc chip or something in there, so they're all in there separate, but still melded as one yummy cookie.
So good. Yes, that was beautiful. And now we all want cookies.
Me too. I want cookies. So I will show you the some of Devon's socials here, and these are all available on the website. If you guys want to have a go and have a look at it, we will it's all there. But what I would really love to ask at the moment is for you to you've created a beautiful bonus for all of us here in this summit. And here it is. Again, it's all on the website and it's all there, so you don't have to go rush and put anything down, but just all here just in case. And would you, I would love to hear what this bonus is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this guide that I've put together, and it has 3 of my most favorite resilience building practices, specifically for the burnt out woman living in a sometimes overwhelming world. And it's 3 of my favorite practices and a beautiful guide, and I would love for you to check it out. I don't want to tell you what they are. I want you to go see them.
No,
share what they are.
Oh no, it's just talking about so that people know what it is, the 3 ways, and so that's beautiful. So check out the bonus. Check out Devon's website. She's got podcasts which I've listened to, and it's amazing. There's like so many episodes. How did you do that? That's so awesome. She's got so much wisdom to share with us, and also this whole awareness. Let's not all go there and go, let's get rid of shame. No, let's not do that. But I feel like it is an awareness of asking yourself, what is it? Why is this coming up for me? Why is my patterns coming up? Why am I behaving this way? Am I blaming? Am I shaming? Or am I going in a corner and crying? These are all just awareness, and just with curiosity and acceptance and compassion with it, and to embody practices and coaches like Devon and all the beautiful women that are coming on to support you in this summit. And to embody that with the different practices, so that we really shift back to coming back to self, kind of giving us the space, giving us the surrender to be ourselves, to be who we are. And we're not ones to, we don't need to be fixed. We just need to be loved. I think that's really the essence of this whole summit. Yes, and thank you so much for joining us today, Devon. And we'll see if this comments, and we'll open up for Q&A. If anybody would love to ask any questions. And Devon, do you have anything to add while we while we're here?
Yes, I of course. Shame is probably the biggest mega resilience zapper, like I've called it, and it's also the way to the most resilience building. So it's the thing that has kind of brought us to this state of burnout, and it's also the thing that's going to make us burnout proof. So it is might feel like this nebulous challenge at the moment, and it's really the beautiful pathway forward to a life that feels really good. And so, right, getting to know yourselves and really questioning, why am I overriding myself? Burnout is a sign that something's not working and hasn't been working for a very long time, right? Your
Yep.
body, your system didn't just decide one morning to say, screw this, I'm freaking exhausted and done.
Yep.
No, this was a compounding effect over a long time. And so just beginning to ask and really gently come back into relationship with those parts of yourself that you've been overriding. What parts of yourself do you feel are so unacceptable that they had to be overridden for that long, right? Is it the part of you that maybe actually wants a different job, or the part of you that's not happy in your relationship, or the part of you that's received so many negative messages about your body that you just don't even listen to it anymore, you know?
Yep. Oh, that's beautiful. And I like to ask this question as well. And so this will be interesting to me. So if you were to go back in time right now and see your 8-year-old self, 7-year-old self, what would be, the message you would whisper in her ear when she is when she needs it most?
Mm-hmm. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault. And it's going to get so much better.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Just sitting with that's so beautiful. I can feel that energy and that waves of love and compassion and just and connection. Thank you so much, my dear friend. I really appreciate your time here in sharing with us your wisdom about shame, and to bring that up into our awareness so that we know that is, who it is. That's part of the whole cycle, the whole journey, and we're all here to support you, and we're all we're all on the same different paths, but also on the same journey of helping each other through burnout, through to coming back to ourselves, to loving ourselves again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm really honored to be here and to share this time with all of you. I would ask if you could please share this beautiful interview if it's really resonated with you, with people who need to hear this right now. And it will be, the recordings are all up on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. And please share it with them. And also go into the website where we have all of Devon's, how to contact her and all her beautiful work and her bonuses that she's offering. So thank you very much. We'll see you all in the next interview in the summit. Much love, and we love you a lot. Thank you.